What's this?
Did you
Close.
her like forcefully? She looks like that.
She said she's lost.
Wait, she has courage.
Okay.
Should I call her?
My phone is not hanging. Yes, please. Just tell her that she should come upstairs or something.
Because all we've been doing is just
Let me see.
I did. No, I heard.
Nothing.
and then I had a
Sorry, can you hear me? Just put it up there.
here.
I can do that.
Libraries. Library was libraries, Costco, yoga. About yoga.
You know.
That's not guaranteed. I think it depends. We were talking about
That's one of those things people
That's one of those we did it and like
I know. I was like,
I guess I can do
oh, a pride parade.
sure.
Recycling center.
Yeah. This is great.
One of my buddies, he's here right now, he's a sophomore. He doesn't pass it every summer. He's
Thompson, whenever you're ready, you want to say anything first? Or did you want me to? Okay. All right, hi, I'm Jim O'Loughlin, and I'm the head of the Department of Languages and Literatures, and I'd like to welcome here today for a book launch and conversation. So I want to say that Oluwatomiisin had been a student of mine in a class where we did some publishing projects, and at the time I remember saying, like, look, the technology on this has all changed, so it is now possible, you know, for people just to be publishing their own books and to make those available internationally. Someone should take me up on the offer to do this, and Oluwatomiisin did, right? So last summer she worked on her novella that is here, Like Flowers Bloom, was published, and it is available here today, and then also on Amazon. And then recently she got the bug, and she has now produced this other collection that we'll be hearing about today. The Sky is Broken. And I believe, are you going to read first, or the panelists then?
Yeah.
Okay. And she's going to be reading from this, and there's going to be a discussion about some issues that are related to the collection. And then afterwards, I'll invite you all to stick around because there's some food in the back, then also copies of the both books. They're available for $12. Cash preferred, Venmo possible. I think we can do credit cards, and if you really want to make me run down upstairs to get something, we probably do a debit card. But we would hate to let any books go unbought. So if you're interested, we'll make that work. I also want to announce the panelists that are here today. That'll be speaking after Oluwatomiisin. So from your left to right, Eliza Fonis is a Associate Professor of TESOL, the Project United Project Director. Jeremy Schraffenberger, Professor of English and an editor for the North American Review. And Oluwatomiisin is an assistant professor of social work and a specialist in trauma-informed practices. So with that, I'd like to congratulate Thomasine.
Hello everyone, thanks for coming. My name is Oluwatomiisin, and like I said, I'm a graduate student here at the Department of Languages and Literature. I will be starting this book launch by first of all appreciating all my teachers and my lecturers, because it's because of them that I am here. I would like to throw a very big shout out to my supervisor, Professor Pierre. He couldn't make it today, but he said I should make sure I shout him out. So I'm shouting him out. And I also want to thank all my professors here who have contributed one way or the other to this event. Yeah, so I'll start the presentation now. So why did I choose the book The Sky is Broken? Okay, in one of my classes with Dr. Wonders, we're talking about this book, The Ones Who Walked Away from Omulus. And while discussing that book, she asked the question. She particularly asked me the question that said, if I was in that kind of community, would I stay or would I leave? And that question really hits home, because it was like, it is something that is happening, like something like that was happening in my own community. So I was like, wow, this is a question. And I looked at myself, and this guilt just suddenly like fell on my shoulder. I'm like, so I'm one of those who can leave and maybe go back home, or but the fact that I just have that opportunity to leave, it actually scared me, because I was like, there are people that cannot leave and they have to continue staying in such circumstance. So I think that drove the inspiration of me writing this book. Yeah. And while I was doing some research for the presentation, I saw this quote that says, exile is the dream of a glorious return. Exile is the vision of revolution. It is an endless paradox, looking forward but always looking back. The exile is a ball hurled high into the air. And it just made me realize that as there are a group of human beings, there are a group of people that are away but are still back home. They are found always stuck in the middle and always having that inside guilt or dissatisfaction, wanting to be somewhere but they can't be that place. They are not physically exiled, they didn't just chase them out of the land because they did something, but because of the circumstances, they find themselves as an exiled group of people. So the book is divided into four parts. We have the break-in, which in the break-in I wrote a group of stories that deal with the cause of the divide. Then in living, I spoke about detachment. What are the causes of detachment, the things that happen when people are detached from their loved ones, from where they grew up. Then in the searching, I spoke about being lost and having no identity. After having a lot of identity, you now come to that point where it's like you're nobody again, or you don't have anyone again. Then I now finally wrote the choosing. And in that choosing, I just made like a final conclusion where it's like, wherever you are, that's home for you. And for this book, when I was thinking, I wanted to write like just one short story, but I know many people and I have many experiences, so I was like, why don't I divide them into parts and into types? So I divided them into short stories, into list forms. I had a radio drama that was kind of chaotic, but I guess it was. I had poems, I had a letter, and I had like a non-fiction in there. So what does it mean to live under a broken sky? This is a question that I wanted to answer in this book. I felt like living under a broken sky, that's every one of our reality here. The system is not working for any one of us, but we are still striving. We are doing the best we can. If you see the image I put here, it's an image of like a green land and a dry land. So what does it mean to live in both places? That was the question I wanted to ask. Then the next question I wanted to answer is, what is the purpose of this book? Who does it represent? So the first one, the purpose of this book is to validate the challenges people stuck between worlds are this is Tariq. I know Tariq, and Tariq is not from here, but I can tell you that Tariq is a really talented young man, and he's always active. And you will look at Tariq always happy. You will not know that he has challenges that he faces. So that is one. The second one is to acknowledge the crises that many people in this room and out of this room have to face just for a better life. The next one is to honor the pains and the scars that make our wins and our strengths and our joys worth it. Many of us find reasons to smile despite different challenges. So that was why I wrote this book. The next question I also wanted to answer was, why did I choose immigration or migration as the central theme? I feel like in this day and time, migration is one of the most popular social events that are happening. Everyone is moving, everyone is leaving or going or coming somewhere. We all have something we are running from or we are running to. I chose immigration as a central theme to narrow the idea of belonging, movement, and separation. So like I said, every one of us is reaching for the stars, and in this time and age, migration is a compulsory ladder a group must climb. However, this journey can also be a bumpy ride, and that is where the sub-theme of this my plot that I explore comes from. Okay, this book also confronts, like the title says, it confronts brokenness. It looks at brokenness through the eyes of broken systems, broken distance, through broken bodies, through friendships and families, relationships, through broken hopes. There are some hopes that break and you have to rebuild them again, and they break, and it's just an endless circle. So I try to explore that also in this book. But just in case you thought that the whole book is about downing negativity, here comes the light. Only when an object is broken can it be fixed again. So the fact that we have the opportunity to be part of those people that can fix or do or give our little quota is very, very uplifting for me. Hence, this book doesn't only represent brokenness, but it serves as a literary vehicle that voices our pains, our stories, cross-cultural experiences, and archives our truths that the world can see and maybe fix. So what I want you to take away from this book is that little stories matter. Everybody's stories matter. Maybe that's why the size is also little. I also want you to take away that brokenness is not the end of your story or anybody's story. Then I also want you to take away the fact that identity is layered and evolving. So no matter the situation or the point that you are in at the moment, there's always hope. Then I also want you to take away the fact that community can be rebuilt. I'm a living witness of that. Most of us are living witness of that. Community can be rebuilt. And though the sky is broken, we are the ones who can fix it. Thank you. So I'll be reading one story from each chapter. And the first story I'm going to be reading is Anti-Hero. And back to the ones who walk away from Omolos. I wrote this anti-hero poem because it reminded me of school. When I was back in Nigeria, when I was in secondary school, I've shared this story many times. There was a time that we had the bandits and the terrorist attack, and they wrote a letter to my boarding house school that they were coming. And that day, our teachers, all our lecturers, everyone that was supposed to take care of us ran away and left us alone in the school. So the name of this poem is titled Anti-Hero. I've never felt such urgency ever in my life to give up on a place that first gave up on me. Being an anti-hero was engraved in my chest, not an abstract idea that stood on its own to showcase its moral compass. I have none. Scratch that. It's broken. On the day I watched teachers tasked with the sole purpose of protecting us choose their safety over a bunch of teenagers locked up to be eaten by wolves, I knew that would be the greatest lesson I would ever learn. Heroes do exist. I'd love to be one someday, but as for now, I choose to remain alive. An anti-hero is not a villain. An anti-hero is not someone who stays. An anti-hero is someone who chooses themselves over again. Someone who realizes the extent of their power and chooses life even one with nightmares. Then in read, the next part is living. And in this living, I try to explore the imbalance when someone has the opportunity to.
Can you come a little closer? Yes.
The next one is living. In this living, I try to measure the imbalance of when you have an option to either stay or go back home. So this poem is titled Run Away or Return. I read it before in Final Thursday, but it goes like this. How fast can you run? Can you outrun the world burning right in front of you? Can you withstand the flames you've been placed in? Run away as fast as you can. Run away, never to return again. Don't look back. There's no pillar of salt to turn to here. No middle ground. Sodom is burning, and if you don't go, you'll be consumed by its flames. The next part is return. How fast can you return? Have you seen the ends of the ocean, or has the water swallowed you up completely that you bear a new name? Return as fast as you can. Return, never to run away again. Don't look back. There's no middle ground. No red linen hanging outside the window. Jericho's walls are falling, and if you don't go, these stones will come crashing down on your face. I would like to read the second poem from this chapter, Living. It's titled Latching. It's about a mother being separated from her child. It goes like this. I miss it, the soft, helpless tug that comes with latching. It's his tiny gulps and heavy breathing, that drunken smirk of approval as he fades into satisfaction. We didn't have much, but we had that. Tender nipples, rock hard, heavy chest, and a milk sauce that drips down unannounced. Success is painful and engrudged. All I can do now is pump and dump. Stop it. You're not the first one to be separated. His memory is fleeting anyway, and you'll be back before you know it. You'll be back before you know it. Be back before he knows it. Be back before he knows it. Back before he knows it. Before he knows it, he knows it. The third one I'm going to read also from this living chapter is Good Enough. This is a story of two sisters. I would like to travel the world, experience its beauty and be in awe of its wonders. I love to live in different time zones with the option to go home whenever I please or perhaps not. Where I'm from, to explore is luxury, so I must be content. Temi, on the other hand, was gifted with the audacity to dream. If she were born when the moon landing took place, one way or the other, she would have found her way to be part of that story. But here we are, stuck and left with the option to cry for mercy. Maybe God would hear our plea. The term destiny helper, a national lingo, was coined by a fellow citizen like us, someone who had lost all hope, someone who knew he couldn't save himself, someone who knew his only hope would come from others, someone who accepted the fact that the only way he could be saved was if God sent an angel in human form, any kind of angel, as long as they helped. To God be the glory, such an angel exists, and one of them came our way on the crossover night of 2022. Chief Kosoko, a retired general of the Nigerian Armed Force. Who moved back to our hometown after years of service. Like every supernatural encounter, he walked towards my sister and I, commended us for our service to his childhood church, and went on to explain how God had laid it in his heart to sponsor one of us abroad. The question now became, which of us was more qualified? He told us to speak with our parents, get our credentials together, both apply, and the person with the highest probability to succeed would be chosen. So we did. Transcript after transcript, recommendation after recommendation, mock exams after the other. Finally, the choice was made. A unanimous vote I was a part of. Temi will go, the echo of my mother's voice forever engraved in my chest. Temi will go, and Toke will stay. I stayed. So I'm going to the next chapter now, which is the searching chapter. This chapter is titled Black Tax, and black tax just simply means the tax that Africans pay. When you are the first daughter in an African household, No one tells you you take up the responsibility of a father. I left my family behind. No, they pushed me forward, and for that, I will forever be indebted to them, and I'm forever grateful. $1 equals an average lunch. Dad looks too thin. Should I be worried? Another relative found me on Facebook. Does my brother really need 100,000 naira? I'm all they've got. Sean doesn't get it. Relax, Temi. Relax, Temi. You mustn't kill yourself. There is no death here, I wanted to shout to his hearing. Death is only for the weak, those who have no family they truly love. Death is a mistake I live to avoid. I must make it. I must make it so that they also will make it. And then when they make it, I will make it for myself. I should. Then the next one I'm going to read is titled Village People. There is a group of people called village people, and they are the ones that are watching you every single move. There's nothing you do that the village people don't know about. So if you notice an African being kind of secretive, or an African, you don't get everything you want from them, it's because they are very, very cautious of village people. It turns out I am one of those village people. The one who is out to destroy you, the one against your success. So I get it why you didn't tell me. Born barely weeks apart, we were inseparable. Best friends, the term used to identify relationships like ours. I knew your first kiss, witnessed your first heartbreak, went with you to that doctor's appointment you never told your family about, and spent weekends in each other's houses. My mom and yours are best friends too. They knew each other from grammar school and ended up living in the same city. But I get it, I'm not family or nearly close enough to know that the only person I trust with my life is living. I'm not mad at you, I can never be. I love you, but you hurt me. And then, the next one I'll be reading is clearance. And clearance comes from choosing. This is where the person either decided that they were going to stay in that land that was burning, or they were going to leave. I woke up to an empty city, streets packed up, businesses saying goodnight. Never in a million years did I ever see this day coming. An ocean that could never be drained now is thirsty for water. The giving tree drained from its roots, stripped of all its nutrients. Or I am one of the dreamers who is starting to question if this isn't a nightmare. What's in store for the rest of us? Are we the remnants, or are we the ones to rebuild? I used to know that person. We attended the same university. I used to be friends with that person. We walked these streets at night. But as I step out of the door, the roads feel wider. We are the generation of fractured friendships, a communal culture forced to live in utter independence. The bag tore us apart. Hunger ripped our ligaments. Everyone's chasing a better life, as they should. Some were given better running shoes. Others didn't have feet to start with. Yet the line has been drawn and the whistle has been blown. The theme of the race is to empty. Run as fast as you can. Or so I thought. I approached the clearance cart. There we were, all gathered, with every single one of our belonging together. The city wasn't as empty as it felt in my chest. The noise was vibrant because we are still here. The little kid, tied behind her mother's back, smiled at me. I smiled back. Another day to keep up alive. Another day to shop what I can afford. Once you're out of the supermarket, no one would know if it's clearance or first stock. All that matters is how you wear it. And then the final poem I'll be reading is community. All of a sudden, you're my sister, you're my brother, and you're my loved one. All of a sudden, you're the first name I call when I need help. Wrapped around uncertainty, we found home. Rooted in a single similarity, you are enough. Here, family becomes the ones you choose, the ones who keep you sane. That bond you thought only existed in childhood. You made me believe life is for the living, more than a place. Wherever you are, that's where my heart is. I've seen you weather the stormy seas and taking courage to paddle along. A champion within sorrow, a hero amidst great joy. we are not made to walk this life alone. So I'm grateful for you, my fellow passenger. So, I don't know, should I do the panel first or should I ask the question first?
I think you should do the panel. Yeah.
Okay. So, please can we give a round of applause to our panel? Thank you for making it here. So, I'm going to start with you, Dr. Oluwatomiisin. So, as a specialist of trauma and as someone who works with refugees, my question for you is, how do you feel like we can handle, or how do you feel we should address the mind separation and the mind injuries that migration causes?
I think I'll start with mind injuries, just thinking about. Alright, I think I'll start with mind injuries, just thinking about some of the things that migration or movement takes away from individuals that leave home. So there's that separation at a young age where individuals now have to start to live independently, even if they didn't have that experience. Or when people are separated from family and have to experience critical life events that would have needed a community by themselves. You mentioned, or the book talks about latching, and many people who have left home know somebody in their community who has had to maybe go through the birthing process by themselves, some with their partners, some alone, or have to walk the stage through graduation, and then next thing you're going back home because there was nobody to even take a picture with you or have a bouquet or just figure out life by yourself. And so dealing with those mind injuries is the final chapter of the book, which is having community. And I think that's one thing when people move, that's one thing that is very, very critical. Having a community that cares, having a community that sees you as a person and recognizes, not based on trauma bonding, but understands that I know how heavy this transition can be and we're here with you through the journey. So that's dealing with some of the injuries or the hurt that comes with movement. What was the first part?
I said, yeah, how do we handle our mental well-being, like mental well-being of migrants, and how do we handle separation from families?
Handling separation from family is just staying on call. I think it is a sociologist painted a picture of the idea of space and place, and now with the internet, that has shifted from just a geographical location to now the internet being a space and a place where people meet. So that's how people move from that family transition. But the definition of family for migrants changes also. Who do you call family in your environment is very important. Or are you vulnerable enough to accept the open arms of strangers and then call them family? Is another perspective that people can build on. So I think, again, it goes down to having a community that sees the individual and the openness of that person that has moved to accept care and love even in a different society. I hope that answers your question.
So for Jeremy, the question I have for you is, literature is mostly used like as a tool, and you know, many times we don't have the power to make like the social changes that need to be made, but we write it down as something that maybe would encourage that change. So how do we deal with using literature as a tool to address such issues?
This is a big question. And I don't know that there is an answer to it, honestly. I came with a few things I prepared and thought about. I realized I have very few original ideas. I have one original idea in my whole career. I'm a full professor. I've only ever thought one original thought, and it is this. A few years ago, I was asked to give a lecture for the Sigma Tau Delta induction ceremony, which you were a member of, the Honor Society, the English Honor Society. Professor Swan asked me, and I said, sure. And he said, well, what will you speak on? I said, well, I want to be bold, so I want to give a talk called Poetry Can Save Your Life. And I was really bold. I thought, yeah, this is great. And then the posters were designed, they were printed, they were distributed, and I realized the title of my talk had been transformed from Poetry Can Save Your Life to Poetry Will Save Your Life. And suddenly, I had to be way more bold. I think this is speaking to how literature functions, and I thought I have my work ahead of me, so I developed a pet theory I sometimes still publish today. This is my only original idea. You can write it down. Actually, the first part is not. I'm a huge fan of Walt Whitman. He's my North Star, literary North Star, and you can describe his poetics in a kind of respiratory way. So Whitman says, you go out into the world and you breathe it in, that you witness it, that you admire its beauty, but you also note the suffering and the pain in the world, the disconnections, the fragments. You breathe it in. And as you breathe it in, it becomes part of you. As you breathe it in, it becomes part of you, and you transform it. But what's the next thing you do after you breathe in? You have to breathe out. The first part, breathing in, Whitman called sympathy. That was his term for it. So having sympathy, compassion in the world. But that's not art yet. That's just being a sensitive person who might feel pain and suffering, but also admire beauty and experience wonder and awe. To be an artist, you have to then breathe out. You have to express. You have to assert. You have to profess. You have to say, I exist. This is my identity. It's been transformed, and I give it back to you as a gift. That's what you've given to us, Thomasine, with this book. So you've observed the world and gathered all these fragments, both in genre and experience, and made it cohere and given it to us as a gift. That's not my idea. Read Lewis Hyde's book, The Gift, if you want to learn more about that sort of version of poetics. Here's the only thing I've ever learned, and one of my favorite Whitman poems is "Oh Me, Oh Life." I won't read it. I have it. I won't read it. But it's essentially saying, I am sad in the world. Oh me, oh life. I'm sad. I experience all of this disconnection. I experience fragmentation. I experience isolation from my fellow man in the cities. And what's the answer to that? And the answer was that you may contribute a verse. Right. So that's sort of like a quintessential version of his poetics. My idea was that you can capture this by mapping it onto two tiny little words in poetry that appear all the time. O and I. This is my only original idea. The O is sympathy. The O is open. The O is your belly. The O is your mouth. The O is sadness and sensitivity. The I stands up and asserts itself. The I says, I exist. The I have an idea, and it wants to tell you about it. And Whitman gives it to us in the phrase, oh, me, exclamation point. That's my only insight. And I'm simply saying that's what you do. You give the world back to itself as a gift that's been transformed by you.
How about the ideas you have used?
They're all everyone else's ideas. I have a thing about Walter Benjamin's essay, the Task of the Translator, which he gives another image of, I think is apropos of your book. He gives the image not of a broken sky, but a broken vessel. So he says the broken vessel is if we put it back together, and here's the key part of it is all of those little fragments are different, that we don't find connection necessarily through sameness, but through complement, through echoes, through harmony. So you have to be different to put the vessel back together. And it may be difficult on the level of politics, but I don't think it's impossible on the level of the individual. And it's certainly not impossible on the level of literature and art. So that's my only other, well, I also have some Emerson in here, but I always have Emerson in here. It's inescapable.
So, Dr. Pons, the final question goes to you, and it is, how do we create a safer community to protect young minds that deal with identity fragmentation and the next generation trying to grow up under
And I think I might need to give some backstory about why Oluwatomiisin invited me and maybe why Oluwatomiisin asked me this question. So I am Iyai Beji, mother of twins, specifically Yoruba twins. Right? So my twin's father is Yoruba from Ibadan, which I will confess was not a place I knew about. That was not a language. That was not a people I knew about. And now it's part of me. There's this thing we read in Latching, right? We read in Latching and we felt in Latching. There's this very special, specific thing that happens in breastfeeding, which is that the baby's saliva goes back to the mother, right? And changes the mother's chemistry so that the mother can produce what the baby needs more specifically. There's this other fascinating thing that happens in pregnancy where because the children are connected to you with the umbilical cord and the placenta, and their blood more or less gets recirculated with yours. And so I think about now when you say, all of a sudden you are my sister, it's because all of a sudden I now have this, I have sisters and brothers and I have Yoruba family, and that's very special. And I think that's part of why Oluwatomiisin invited me. I'm raising children who are half here and half there. And that's a very heavy thing sometimes to carry, but I recognize I'm not carrying it alone. So when we think about our young people, increasingly in the United States, our young people who are half here or half there, we think of a baby born in Iowa to family from Burkina Faso. And is this baby, like my babies, going to think that Casey's is the best place to get pizza? Because that's what happens when you have babies in Iowa. So how do we make the safe space? And I love this metaphor of the vessel and of the sky and the things we put back together. And I think I consider my home, even literally or metaphorically, as the place where people can put things back together. I have some glue here that you can use. I have some paint if you'd like to make it a little bit different. But it's that idea of a space and an understanding that your broken piece might fit with yours. We can see how these fragments can go together. And what is the sky going to look like next? You know, I can't wait. I can't wait to find out. And not entirely related, but I think a little bit related. If Jeremy gets to mention Emerson, I want to speak about the philosopher Gadamer. I know, right? And so Gadamer had this idea of the horizon. And I thought about this when you talked about running away. How fast can you run away? How fast can you run back? So Gadamer had this idea that when you move towards the horizon, whether you're running away or you're running back, that horizon doesn't stay the same. It changes. Because as you go towards it, it changes and you are changing. And so we have to know that there's not a fixed destination. And so being prepared to transform, I think, is really special. And that's our job. We have to be prepared to transform them. Thank you for your work.
So thank you very much. If you have any questions for the panelists, if you have any questions for me, you can ask now.
One of the essays in your work was, or story, I'm not sure which, but it was about being a protest, the events that happened while there was protest, and there were young people in the protest who were then surprised by the change in how the protest was treated by the local police officials and government. And, and the way that was written, it seemed like such a pivotal point, such a turning point. And so much of what then becomes the thing to run from, or the thing to run towards, or that idea that I'm sorry to have that on the way. But it made me think also, now that you've talked today, I'm sorry, I don't know, now that you've talked today also about sort of the idea that we're all exiles, and that really struck me. I don't mean, because you were mentioning the broken sky for all of us. And so in some ways, like, I was really identifying with that particular passage because I was feeling, kind of like those people who are surprised by what is happening around them and finding that they may need to migrate, anyway, I'm babbling away. So when you came to you and I, and you guys are related, is that right?
Yes.
Are you sisters?
Yes.
Yes, and so I was wondering, like, when you were talking about community and the idea of running towards or running away, how long did it take to find that, and what kinds of things did you, because you're teaching about self-care and care of the mental kind of injury or mind injury. I know that is also something you teach, but then you have a very personal relationship with that, and I was wondering how that was to both try to do something in the world with these ideas, but also personally try to heal. I'm sorry, speak to that.
Yeah. I can speak to that. I left her at 9. I was 9 years old when I left home. And I went to boarding school, and I was almost ending boarding school when we got reunited. I was in SS2, which was a year before moving to college. By the time she came in, I left to another state over 24 hours away from home, away from her. Before, or by the time she was coming in, I moved here. And 9 years later, again, we were united. So the concept, and it's just 2 of us. So she's my only surviving sibling. And we joke about the surviving part, but it's just 2 of us. So the idea of separation, growing up apart, understanding of family, sometimes our ideologies kind of clashes because we grew up with different parents at different times, or I had to learn a lot for myself independently because I left at a very young age. And so dealing with that just comes with sometimes, when we're younger, maybe our ideas clashed. And when it did, it was like, okay, we weren't kind to each other. That was a hurt. And then growing up with the guilt that, I didn't treat this person right, and having to now reunite and bond and actually understand yourselves from different perspectives or from how you view the world is now the healing part of our relationship. And those are some of the things that come as a result of that separation or that movement or
So the connection is not given to you, you have to create it.
you have to create it, yes. So even though the sky looked broken, what's the Japanese art? Yes, Kamasaki? Thank you so much, yes. And so that art of putting broken pieces back together with gold shows the value. So that's the relationship, that's the healing part, right, of rebuilding that relationship and even mending it with gold, and now it's more valuable. You could see the cracks, but it's still worth something.
So what interested me hearing why you decided to do this hybrid work with many different kinds of genres for this new collection.
Okay, I am a creative writing major, and I've been taking different creative writing classes. I took a class with Dr. Benson last semester where we read, it was a young adult class, where we read about when we read The Collectors, and it had different poems. Then I also took another class with Dr. Wonders last semester, that's the non-fiction class. So I've just been exposed to different forms of writing thanks to you and it has showed me that there are different ways to express yourself. There are some things that you express in poems that if you put them in stories, you wouldn't actually get that feeling. And there are some things that you explain in essays that if you put them in poems, you wouldn't get that feeling as well. So I just feel like this coming here and learning from these professors gave me the opportunity to identify which kind of stories fit for which kinds or which types of works.
I'm saying, how to phrase this? I don't want to All right, so, I'm just speaking from a personal perspective, and I want to have a comment on it. Not taking like a ball that there's tension, like a dialectic kind of thing going on. And you said one of the pieces, I hope I'm quoting it right, that exile, that leaving a place. But no, I didn't leave, I was pushed forward. And I really like that dialectic. And what I find for myself personally is someone who left home, came here, and I've been here for 40 years, not necessarily in Iowa, 30 years in Iowa. Yeah, anyway, that there's always this tension that I feel like sometimes I feel I ran away, like I escaped. And then there's other times I feel like my parents, through encouraging education, pushed me forward. And so there's always that tension and feeling of guilt and sadness about the circumstances, but at the same time, I'm glad I'm here and I'm glad I got out, if that makes sense. I made something for myself, but at the same time, there's this regret or feeling of irresponsibility. I don't know how to phrase it, but I wonder if you have any thoughts on that, about that sort of tension between being pushed forward, but also leaving or being forced out.
Yeah, that line was actually something that I thought about a lot because I was looking at our story and I was trying to see, did we actually leave or were we encouraged or pushed forward? And I saw that, okay, my parents, they're watching through my phone right now, so they came from humble backgrounds and they tried all their best. They really worked so hard for my sister and they were able to give us this opportunity to go to good schools, and they gave us opportunities to explore like different things. Like they have this really conservative like mindset, but they gave us the freedom to think outside the box. And that was what actually helped my sister in the beginning. So that I was pushed forward actually goes to her because I feel like she was actually pushed forward. As the firstborn, like I said, in Nigeria, you have lots of responsibilities. Not only in Nigeria, every firstborn has lots of responsibilities. You are the model child, you must be this and you must be that. So they tell you, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that because there are people behind you. And so they push you ahead so everyone can follow behind and follow your own footsteps. So,
No feelings of abandonment or...
Okay, yes, there are feelings of abandonment. I mean, for both of us now, I feel like she feels like I have a closer relationship to my parents because I stayed longer with them. And she many times feels out of the picture and out of the story. And sometimes I also feel that way, like academically. She's really good academically, and I'm managing. So we have those kinds of feelings. Sometimes I wonder if I were the first one, would I be like she was? And maybe sometimes she also have those kind of feelings towards me as well. But I think all of us have like a small piece of regret or a small piece of being sad in us. So you just have to walk through it and move on.
Thank you.
Okay, so if there are no other questions, thank you very much for coming. There are snacks at the back. There are some Nigerian snacks as well. So if you want to try those out, you can try them out. The books are here. Thank you so much for coming. Do you have, sorry, before we clap, do you have final words? Any final words? Does anyone have any final words?
Congratulations.
Yeah. What I love is your self-awareness. Yeah. I didn't realize. My sister says to me, all that dysfunction.
Yesterday, an email, Meb sent it. I don't know if I've sent it to graduate students yet, but Meb sent it. We do what we So you're from Norway? Netherlands? Like Holland?
Yeah, my mother's American, my father's Dutch.
Yeah, I thought I said wrong all the time. really drove us. You really drove us. My only original idea. You said all kinds of original ideas. Come on now. Captain Mike Jackson. Oh, you're always so great. You're so like in the tradition, you know, pull up. You're so cool.
I've got my go-to people,
It's impressive.
you riff. I mean, so do you. Like, I've never seen the movie Night of the Hunter. I gotta see it. And I was like, somebody said it, was it you?
I love that. I might use it now. Love and hate that too. The
picture.
Flash, I don't think that's a song.
Well, I saw some image in my head, and I saw some image that was underwater. So I was like, that's weird.
There's a water, they walk in the car and shove his fingers. You would love it. And it's lyrical, what poems, like lyrical essay, like there's some passionate ones.
Well, the sounds like real.
Kind of grammar good action in some way.
I'm gonna watch it.
The novel is pretty good too. I read the novel. David, that's right. Like not good. It's David. Yes. Yeah.
Because I was thinking David Grubbs is a guitarist, I think, but Davidson. Okay.
I don't either. I picked it up and Mark Black and I read it. It's the only movie Tom Cruise was a really good acting teacher. Yeah. I mean, what does maybe it was probably was. And one of the gift sisters is the matriarch of one of the freaking what's the Miller.
Lillian Gish?
Yeah, Lillian or Dory. I think Lillian.
I wonder if the Gish were related to Robert Gish. I never met him. His daughter is in a ton of like, you know, like, and she went to class.
No, and like I came back out of they did like a stage meeting. What's up? Gary Kroger's was there.
Bring her back into town.
You know, I think when I read his
he's a nice guy.
he's on, that's the problem. Like that.
He wants to sing a song or something.
Yeah, I do. You did for yourself for a while.
Figaro. I even sing all the songs. He was a student in my grade. He said he wanted to be the next Bruce Wayne. He said he wanted to be really rich and a superhero. Oh, that was really charming.
That's awesome. Not really tired to be really rich. Superhero,
He has messages on how to read
Yeah, this weekend actually, I went to that in here because
Grinders with a sense of peace too. I'm gonna be in Louisville for a conference in February. If I don't get snowed in. But that's where Paul is. Did you meet Paul? They're like bowling after his reading.
and he and me, we watched the Jays were playing Texas in the playoffs, and what a beautiful game there.
He was working on a screenplay, his first story, one of his finished college novels, which I think you read it, which is like a performance artist who hires somebody to follow. Anyway, he was a collection of so he wrote a screenplay, and then I guess it didn't get produced, but he was like picked it back up and redone, and he's working on it. And it's like they're picked up by this woman who's filming this here in Sundance. They're going to start filming in Atlanta and then Vienna. And so he's going to be traveling to do it, which is so very cool. Like, this is like the fiction writer's dream, isn't it? Like, sell your book, but then you get the film. He's working on a novel as well. It'd be great if not. And I was like, I said, whenever we have it come out, like, we should have it back here again. Reminisce and take him home. Well, that's what I'm thinking. It's probably going to be good stories. He's working on a collection. I'm sure he's going to be one of the pieces that he said he's got some, he said, I got some short pieces, but I also got some longer pieces. He was like, I don't want to do short stories, you know. He published a couple of short pieces last time.
Tomiisin, do you want to end it?
Yes.
How will you end it?
Great, you're in here.
Oh, you want me in here? Wait, let me be professional.
It's going to be for posterity.
I got food crumbs all over me. Oh, one more, Karen. Thank you.
I love reading.
I love the whole thing. I love the having a panel of experts up here. Like with I've never used it in my life. But yeah, the PowerPoint. I thought that was really
The tyranny of PowerPoint. I started using PowerPoint. Like, I just have been on slides.
everybody's into it because it's used. Kind of the way some of my colleagues are about AI. Where it's like, oh, that's a PowerPoint.
Yeah, I can put together your slides. I'm serious. You want this in slides? But it's something
That's an invitation. That was crazy. I've never seen that before. You did really short.
Yeah, it's super short, man. Like from the first, like from midnight of the first to midnight of the fourth.
I see that for like a gravel contest. Getting bad.
But this was like an hour and I was proud of what I wrote. Maybe I think it sucks. Like right now, I'm like
basket in.
yeah, like I remember Rachel saying,
Pretty simple. But you can provide a way to passion. I love it. No.
see, I'm not putting this up here, because you're gonna bring it up later. So I kind of found it. Yeah, oh man, yeah, look at it. You're talking about Don Madden for the whole thing.
Donnie baseball.
I love Donnie baseball. My daughter got a big job for Andy.
I know by the end of it.
Yeah. She's doing counseling crisis. Yes, I got the job reporter. Yeah, you know, and it's because of good benefits.
Well, Andy's so well endowed that he can kind of make it private, so he can protect himself. Someone like
Like, any kind of training, like, none of that sympathy you're talking about.
well, and this is what David was asking when he said.
Oh, no.
What I would say is David makes
We have to plan really, really quick on this. Next Friday.
and they can too. So you can be positive.
Yeah. Maybe next Friday. Maybe like 1 to 3, I was thinking.
And I don't think maybe because that's what they call it potluck. He is.
Convince me that he does exactly what you're saying.
I think we need to say these are our principles. I'll talk about how they come, but I'm
Yes.
way more.
Rick was right on the first day. Yeah, first day. Rick was communicating about this. Guys, look at that.
15 minutes.
Where's the Q&A today?
All day, there's 15 minutes. I haven't said anything.
We haven't settled on the time yet.
I'm just watching
Actually, being observed while he was teaching himself.
Okay.
At least that's what he said.
He's on board.
Oh, great.
He's excited. Grant's kept you updated on the
No. You have to be able to.
We got some good ones. We got one. Calendar, right? You think you'd be
Yeah, I know.
He starts throwing around John Locke. John who?
So we end up having to go back and forth.
That's so green.
Well,
He said no.
What did they say? It sounded.
No, AI just never
The AI said it sounded like.
I said Jonathan Swift, he said this sort of satire is appropriate. So it picked up kind of the 18th century language.
Yeah, exactly.
And the rest of the said, I think they were
I am so jealous of all the students that get to teach. 11 of them, all the best grad students. You got Ella in there, and Louise, and you got Kellen, Jenna, Abby McCourt.
Is
Is that a fan?
Yeah. We're trying to get more cookies now.
They're not necessarily telling you. I haven't ever gotten the live.
I know she likes
They box me, have, they read, what's that?
because when we were at the thing together, I worked a shift with them, but some guy that had like a Stranger Things type cover, like a video cassette, and it was a horror fantasy story. It was all in it.
For herself?
They bought it for her own.
Did she say Friends was not your favorite classic?
I wasn't there when you guys said that. I missed out on that one. That wonderful exchange with the two writers who talked to each other.
But no, this was Frankie Cannon.
Oh, Frankie Cannon.
Frankie Cannon was really good about it. You know, we take writers to dinner sometimes, and they're really good about including students and making a deal. Now they're sort of like, and with Stephen and Rosa, they were just like back and forth.
Old friends.
And then we could engage with it, but it was hard for students.
Well, we were, pretty much at the
Oh, I tried to draw her out so many times.
Yeah, because Randy even said, let's not do that, it's Brady tried.
But she was so shy. She hardly needed, she never had it.
She was so excited.
Okay.
Quite clear.
Yeah. She's on my lap. I sat right in my book. We're trying to write. Yeah.
Sometimes the introverts are perfectly happy just sitting there and listening, being attentive listeners, we're good at
I'm
that.
enjoying myself.
Yeah.
She was so excited when she saw that you walked in.
Oh, it doesn't serve me. Oh.
You didn't say that.
That's one of my specialties.
Oh, that's an important thing.
Not to scare students. I think I would scare the shit out of them. Like, speak!
Do what Chris tells you if you're not. It's not Chris anymore, but
That's the truth, man. That's what the administration, our administration and the money.
All right, other book agent here. Usually what I was like, you're usually any kind of leadership. How you been? Good, good. On the academic, like, Ready can talk about Ready, just need to check everything out. He's just worried about budgets and pushing games. And like follow the research. She's not very much. I don't think right now, though, she would have. Yeah, I like the whole part. People had problems with him. I didn't agree with a lot of things. Yeah, he was passionate when he did speak. He had principles too. He was really not going to waver.
Would have been nice to have a real conversation.
Yeah. I just like,
doesn't sound like I'm sorry I missed it.
I think
I mean, I wasn't exactly having a great time, but maybe I was better off sitting in the sitting down my party off than I was.
we're talking about leadership.
And how, like, what's our standard bearer? What do we believe in as a university? What do we stand on? What, like, I don't want to just talk about appealing to Democrats and Republicans. I want to talk about what's our value system. This is, we will not bend from this. This is what we believe. The right to freedom of speech, for example.
One Carlos was talking about comparative speakers and how that course has made a lot of students feel like they belong and some students feel worried about their ideas. Otherwise, I see it now as an asset. And I was like, it's almost as though we are interested in things like inclusion.
Let me hear more on that.
But like, yeah, I mean, that's great.
You know, poor Mark, he is the one that like pushed all of that language in.
Oh, he was all about it. He was all about it.
What do you mean, less math?
No, not before the legislature passed those laws. He was all in.
The first time I actually heard the term DEI was
Yeah.
That's a term, wow.
Yeah.
Like it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing. He would say, like, it's not enough to have it. You have to actually have inclusion. That's like the next step. You have to, like, not just have it. That's what we hear. So that's what he believed in, but now he's not allowed to say it. And so what he's saying is, like, he has to utilize what he believes.
People still just say inclusion if we don't have diversity.
I don't know. I probably.
How about the
Is it lowercase?
Yeah.
It's still the different word.
Yeah, that's the problem. I feel like it's just dirty to use everything. So you sit in that. Equity is not access. That's a really different thing. When you replace everything in our strategic plan that said equity with the word access.
I didn't know that you were
Very different.
Access is what I do when I go to ATM
Access, you know, like it's not like they're closed off to any population, but equity is about providing extra support for those who haven't had certain privileges along the way and recognizing those are systemic. Or at least that's the point. So we got it. I mean, and to euphemize or to use a synonym, actually got rid of what I think is, you know, well, it's exactly what they wanted to get rid of, just special services for specific populations. But we can still help veterans. We have an office for veterans. I think that's bullshit.
Yeah, the outrage of that. They used to be the same exact people. They were in charge of DEI, et cetera. Yeah, that was the title. Yeah. So, yeah.
But we have veterans. We don't have gender and sexuality.
Oh, this hi, hello.
Sure we do.
How do they end it now?
Just speak end.
Don't ask, Brandon. They won't tell.
Will it save? Let me ask. Carry it. Sorry, I'm trying to end this life. Will it automatically save?
I've never been on Instagram live. In fact, I've never been on any live. But I think it should ask you if you want to save it or not. Growing up, I never. I want to stop speaking.
Yeah, stop.